How you doing? How's it going? How are you getting on? Did you hear about the bogs?
Which bogs?
The bogs, the ones, the wetlands. The peatlands.
The peatlands.
Yeah.
What do you want to tell me about the peatlands?
No, I just picked up the second-hand book the other day, and I've been, the way throughout your life you're always feeling a certain way about something, and it could be something as small as, will I get a coffee on my walk to work, or will I not get a coffee? Will I just stick to the tea? It could be something like that, or else like maybe I should be using less plastic, or maybe it's just all a load of bullshit. And then you're always like, what's going on? But one of the things that I've been wrestling with the last few years, right, is the bog. On one hand, I love the bog. It's nice to be down there. It's got loads of like wildlife and plants and stuff like that, like heather. It just grows wildly there, and it's nice to look at. But on the other hand, then you can get turf, and you can just bring it home with you and light up your arse for the winter. And it's nice to have it. It's nice to sit around the fire. I know they're trying to get rid of fires in houses now. And on one hand, I can kind of understand that an open flame is probably all the smoke. It's not good for the planet. But then on the other hand, it's nice to have an open fire with the turf burning there. And I don't know if an individual person, we all have to do better decisions for the planet, obviously, because we are people that waste an awful lot of shit. All you have to do is go into Tesco and look at all the plastic that's in there. But the bog, it's just like, it's kind of like they're taking away the power of the local people to look after themselves in a way. Yes. And then it's all sort of through the government, and that's like maybe heating or like electricity and all that stuff. That's not so good for the environment either. I'm sure it's not probably as bad as cutting turf, but it's just for myself, I don't know which way I am at the moment for that.
Well,
I'm probably sitting on the fence, but at the same time, I genuinely don't know how I feel about it. But anyways, got this wild boglands book, and I'm going to read it. And apparently, some of the oldest stuff from Ireland was found in bogs.
Yes.
They found a PlayStation 5 in one of them.
They found some bog butter out at Ochner South, and they didn't report to anyone. They tried it and it was still good.
No way.
Mm-hmm.
Hopefully, it was Connacht Gold. The best butter, yeah.
Butter. That butter is better.
The most underrated butter you'd ever get.
I feel, and I have a turf fire burning in the house at the moment, which which as I built it today was thinking, I feel about burning the turf in this way. I feel it should be like almost like a privilege under like land rights for those people who have turbidity, and turbidity is like the rights to cut turf on their own land, right? Like almost like indigenous rights to burn that, and that like of course the commercial cutting of it should be scaled back. But I think at a small, sustainable level for private use, it should be allowed. And I know that means
the likes of Borden and Mona, they tore the arse out of it. Like if you're looking at culprits, if you want to look at people who have burnt the most, or companies, you just need to look at Borden and Mona. Like, maybe cutting too much is not good, but you can't really take it away from the locals either.
No, you can't, and I don't think you should, because
everyone is kind of causing trouble, whether you have a car or else maybe you're eating loads of meat.
And Ireland was trying to bring a law in which you wouldn't be able to burn anything in your private homes anymore, and you'd all have to be reliant on their grid, which means that you can be charged anything. But it didn't pass because it was found to be unconstitutional, so we're still allowed to have solid fuel stoves and ranges in our house. So I have a range at the cottage which has a back boiler on it, so if I burn turf in it or wood, it means I can both heat my home and have hot water and cook on top of it, and I don't have to pay the exorbitant power things which we're being stung with right now. Do you know what I mean? And as far as carbon capture goes and the greenhouse effect, burning firewood or sources of carbon that is not coal, that is not fossil fuels, the actual like burning wood, is actually more sustainable because you can plant quick growing softwood.
Yeah, but that's
trees
not good for the soil
harvest.
then either. Apparently, a lot of the soil across the world is really depleted because of all quick-growing trees and stuff like that.
Well, that is a fair point. You can't use it for much after that, but you can like keep growing the same trees on the same thing, just with crop rotation.
Crop rotation, indeed.
Crop
It's very
rotation.
important. It's just a tricky one. It's a hard one to know which way to go with all that stuff because, as I said, like on the one hand, having the open fire is nice, but on the other hand, we're all like, I don't know, we're all kind of doing something that's probably fucking the planet up.
We say I'm all for clean green, and I'm very proud of Ireland. It has no fracking, and has electricity companies which can be 100% renewable from all the wind farms.
Are you fracking kidding me?
Well, fracking. I'll tell you what, the Fenian used to work in a mining company, right? He used to repurpose and mend the giant tools that would come in from the mining rigs and the mining sites.
And I just imagine lads with massive cocks.
Massive tools, yes, right? It was like a giant Meccano set, like putting all these big drills together, all these boys when the homoerotic atmosphere was been amazing. But anyway, but that was back in like 2010, 2011, and even then they were in that mining company going like fracking is going to be banned because everyone knows how bad it is for the environment then, so we're trying to get as much done as possible before it gets banned. And that was 12 years ago, so like it goes to show how powerful the lobbyists are that it's still going.
Yeah, it's just kind of like what they're doing is I think they're buying time so that they can realign with the new way it's going to be, and then you have all the green energy which will be definitely good for the planet, like wind and rain and all that stuff, but they're just trying to figure out how to monetize it as much as they can so that when it does kick off into full implementation, they'll definitely be able to tax it to the balls. They'll be like, well, of course you have to pay for fucking wind. You'll be like, what?
Exactly.
Our grandparents didn't pay for wind. You'll be like, yeah, but they only lived in houses. You're living in a floating fucking vessel.
Well, it's exactly the same as cannabis, right? Like, technically, medical cannabis is legal in Ireland, but the Conservative coalition government has made it extremely difficult to get a prescription and the cost prohibitive if you do get a prescription. So it still thrives as a legal
It's coming around
industry.
though. It's not far away.
It shouldn't. Once Germany passes it, the dominoes should fall across Europe, surely.
Yeah, I think so. I think you're right in that one, yeah. Canada had it... well, I don't know if all of Canada has it legalised, but in Vancouver you could walk into the shop and it was just... I remember going in there one day... one night.
Ooh, tell me your Vancouver story.
Well, I went over there I had the gig to do over there.
Yep.
And I was over there. I just got in the night before, and they're 8 hours behind. It's the far side of Canada.
I'm just like here I am sitting with the international star.
No, not at all. No, I'm not.
I know. I'm just kudos to you. Like you got a gig in Vancouver. That's very exciting.
Yeah, and it was lovely people, and they were a lovely Irish crowd, and lovely Canadians. But anyways, when I went over there, when I got in the evening, I was like, what's that shop over there? I was talking to two lads. Two fucking sound lads. One from Cork, one from France. And they were like, we'll go for a pint. So we went for a pint. And
Cork lads get around, don't they?
Oh, they're fucking great crack, man.
They are. I love them.
They're fucking... This fella in particular, his name is Aaron. Legend, absolute legend. And we went for pints anyways. And I was like, you don't know the etiquette. And they were like, you go up to the bar and they're like, oh no, you don't go to the bar. You wait outside and they'll come out and order... and take the order off you.
Okay.
And you feel like a bit silly because you're like, I'm in a different place here now. But anyways, to cut a long story short, we had a few pints and then I seen across the road a little shop that had like a weed face outside it. And then I was like, oh fuck, they sell weed here.
Yeah.
So I said, will we pop across there for a look? So we went in anyways and there was a dog there just chilling. And I was like, yeah, this is definitely the weed shop. He looked like Willie Nelson.
I can see it with plaits, but somehow it's a German Shepherd.
And there was so much marijuana there, like in CBD and everything else. And
oh my lord!
It was just like overwhelming in a way because
I think the dog was probably enjoying the CBD. That's why I was chilled.
Yeah, exactly. They told us after that. They told us the dog had arthritis in his spine, which I'm like, how did you know that? The dog's probably wanted to smoke a bit of weed. You know, should I have arthritis in my spine? But in fairness, the dog was very relaxed looking. So. But anyways, it was so good to be in there. You just go in there and you buy whatever you want. And
I know, and it's so civilised. I mean...
So chilled out about it, yeah. they were a bit snooty though as well. Like in one of the shops, they were like, I was like, I want to kind of get like something that'll keep him relaxed but excited. And they were like going, right, okay, let's see, look over here. Do you not really know? They were kind of, one person said to me, do you not know what you want?
So they expect everyone to be aficionados of all the strains.
That was only one shop, but then the other
content.
two, they were lovely. So I think maybe, yeah.
You'd stumbled into the hipster bespoke dispensary.
It was kind of like a hipster shop. Yeah.
There you go.
Because somebody in there was on rollerblades. And fuck me.
Excellent.
Rolling into fucking... Hey, you're right there.
Oh, I can only imagine how fabulous it must feel to just rollerblade around stoned off your tits. Yeah. I went roller skating down in Limerick recently. Did you know that the closest roller skating arena to us here is in Limerick? I was willing to drive the hour and a half. Mm. And
apparently it's the rollerblade capital of Ireland.
Well, apparently it is. But I got down there, right? Because the Feeny and I took the kiddo down there for a bit of a boogie on the old roller skates. And I swear to God, we got the old rental roller skates on. And as I was getting onto the rink, I'm like, I felt so 80s. I'm like, and they were playing like 80s music.
No way.
And I'm like,
who were they playing?
They were playing Sheena Easton.
I don't know.
Sheena Easton, like, my baby takes the morning train. He works from 9 to 5. And then he takes it home again to find me waiting for him. She was a young Scottish lass.
Okay.
But I used to roller skate to that and like when I was 10 and somehow it was back on. I felt I was like I'm in the Truman Show again. But Sheena Easton.
Okay.
And like Morning Train is the name of the song.
Okay.
I think it's like probably 1981. Anyway, but I turned to the Fenian as we were about to go onto the rink and I said, I'm a bit disappointed it's not Olivia Newton-John and Xanadu, to be honest, but I like the 80s thing. And I took off. Well, fuck me dead, the poor woman died the next day. I felt like I pushed her under a train as like there I was like talking about her and then she went. So poor Livy, sorry, Olivia, I took your name in vain and she went on me. But but it was so weird and I did not fall over until I skated over and insisted that I help the Fenian. He said, don't. I'll only take you down with me. I'm like, no, we'll be grand. But I forgot that he is a tall man and I'm a short woman with a very low base of gravity. So when he flung his arm up, when he got a bit unsteady on his feet, he picked me up off my feet and landed me on my own ass. And then it was very hard for me to get back on my feet because I was in the middle of the rink and I had nothing to hang on.
Oh, stop. So I was in Vilnius, in Lithuania one time.
Yeah.
And I was dating a girl from France and she was living over there.
Yeah.
And I went over to visit. So one evening she said, do you want to go to the ice skating rink?
Oh, yeah.
And I was like, fuck, I've never been to one. I'd love to go.
Yeah.
Sounds great. So we got the shoes on us all and all that stuff. Maybe like 6 of us.
Yep.
And for some reason I got to get a size that was too big for me. I don't know why. There was the last pair there.
Yeah.
So I was like, these don't feel like really tight.
Oh, no.
But you kind of walk around the edge and you're holding the side.
Yeah.
And then after a few loops, everyone's like, okay, just do whatever way you want to do. So I was like, okay, maybe I'm kind of getting good at this.
Yeah.
And you always kind of feel like what if I'm a prodigy?
I was born for this.
Exactly. What if I'm the best person to ever do this? And
I'm going to ice skate for Ireland.
Yeah, exactly. And someone here, there's a scout here going, I like what you did out there.
All I could think of was the pride comes before the fall.
Exactly. And it did. It fucking did. That saying was never so true because not that I was like doing too much, but I was like doing a bit more. I was like, oh fuck, I actually have this. And I was like thinking to myself, and I've actually never skateboarded really, so it's strange the way I can do this, or like skied or anything like that. But I remember falling in the middle, roughly around the middle.
Yeah.
I couldn't stand up.
I
had to crawl to the edge of the counter. I had to grab it like this. And I had to smile at people as I was doing it, as if to say, oh, fuck, this is embarrassing. I was completely dead inside.
But,
all my organs had stopped working.
But somewhat to my horror, the Limerick roller skating rink, it was lovely and everyone there was grand. They came over to offer to help and stuff. but I would have just brought everyone down because I was like a 52-year-old woman who weighs a lot, and they were like beautiful, sweet young like teenagers, like Nancy fucking Kerrigan, and they were what they were going to do to help me. They couldn't. But there's no handrails. There weren't any handrails. There was just like you could go along the wall like with your palms flat. There wasn't actually anything to fucking grab onto. There were long stretches of nothing to hang on to, and I was on my.
Where the hell was this ice skating rink?
Pardon?
Where was the rink?
It was in Limerick.
Oh, okay.
Yes. So, yeah, kiddo wanted to go roller skating, and that was the closest place to do it.
Yeah, well, fair enough. At least it's part of the experience too.
Oh, it was. I mean, it was hilarious. It was hilarious.
I have a little hat actually. Now that I think about it, it's got like a little penguin on the front of it, and it's from an ice skating rink in Dublin actually.
Oh, okay.
And I remember I got a free day ice skating in Dublin, and myself and Mike Salmon went.
How did Salmon go ice skating?
Actually, well, he was pretty handy.
Was he?
Yeah, he was very like.
He's a dark horse, is Salmon.
You should have seen him move. He was floating. Honestly, he was just spinning. I was like, there's a bit of Billy Elliot in him. I swear to God, I never seen him move like it. He was moving. Okay, imagine him moving at 25 mile an hour with a smile on his face, and one leg in the air. Like I've never.
Oh, I'm imagining it.
Everyone in there was like literally blown away. Not literally, because if you're literally blown away, you'd be in a war probably. But it was something else. It was amazing. I was like, Mike, where did you learn that shit? And he goes, I did a bit before when I was travelling around with the missus or something. Well, you've never told me about that.
There you go.
So he's like a dark horse too.
He really is. Hidden talents of Michael Salmon.
I did rollerblading once as well.
Okay, how was that?
That was great crack, but it was a bit similar to this ice skating in that my legs kind of started spreading, and I couldn't get them to level up.
Oh, yes.
And I was going down a little kind of like Tarmacadam footpath.
Oh.
And I was like, but it wasn't so steep. It was actually a tiny hill, a very tiny hill. But like once you get the momentum on those yokes, you're kind of fucked.
Yes. Yeah, they're not because they've got back brakes as well. You don't
exactly.
put your toe down like roller skates.
Yeah, but there's a way you can kind of spin sideways to kind of brake as well. But I did that and I nearly twisted my ankle.
I was going to say my ankles would probably just snap off.
I know.
I'm basically just osteoporosis wrapped in subcutaneous fat at this point. It's a shite state of affairs. I suddenly remembered when I was on my ass in a roller skating rink how old I was, and that I had to keep reminding myself because the music was 80s. I'm like, this is
great
fucking
fitness, amazing fitness.
Well, yes, actually, and I could only do 5, and I was doing well until I tried to help the Fenian. I hadn't fallen. I was getting up a bit of speed. I thought this is so weird. This is so weird. I can't believe how long ago I learnt to do this.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was just like, I was just back there. It was like, the bloody... my parents were school bus contractors, and they used to take a busload of kids from our town into the local roller skating rink every Friday. It was a big thing.
Do you say that again? Used to what?
They used to just because we lived in a little town called Donnybrook, which is about half an hour from the main city of so it'd be going from Kilchnar to Castlebar.
Yeah.
Yeah. So they'd get a bus of kids. If kids could catch a bus, they'd just put a bus on and take them into the local skateway roller disco thing on a Friday night. It was a real thing. It was everyone couldn't wait to go, and everyone was the kids were good in those days. They go to the roller disco sort of thing, and they have a great time. Then they'll get back on the bus and come home, and there was no hassle. There was
good clean fun.
But then and then it worked for a couple of years, and then they had to stop because all of a sudden the kids realised that if we leave the roller disco, we can start get up to mischief and trying to walk into town, and it's just and it just went to shite. But it's roller skating has always just been I think anything with music.
It feels like a very roller skating is maybe not roller. Yeah, sorry, roller skating. It feels like a very 1980s and 1990s thing. And then rollerblading was it's a symbol of time, kind of moving quicker. And it's I want to go faster. And now, I don't even... I mean, people definitely still rollerblade, but not as much as they used to.
Although, tell you what has come back. And it's funny, because I remember being like, I don't know, I must have been about 10 or something, and there was this late night movie on, and it was Raquel Welch, and she was in a roller derby. It was a roller derby film, and I thought, that looks so cool. I wish I could do that. Of course, there was nowhere to roller derby at all in those days. It was like, and then it died. It was one of those things like disco died and roller derby died and whatever. And they had revived the last 10 years. They had that film Whip It with like Elliott Smith, who used to be not Elliott Smith, Ellen.
Oh yeah, the actress. Yeah.
Not Smith, Page, Elliot Page.
Yeah.
When Ellen Page was in a film called Whip It about roller derby. But it became really cool, and I have a friend who lives in Donnybrook who does roller derby now at that same local skateway. She's Scottish, and her name is the Tartan Spartan, which I think is awesome.
That's a great name. Do you have a destruction? Jesus, you have to remind me of something there now.
Okay.
Did you have destruction derby in Australia?
Yes, demolition derby. Yeah.
Demolition derby.
Demolition derby. Yes, at the speedway. We had a speedway in Bunbury, and
there used to be
have a demo derby.
Okay. No, it's just that there used to be this game called Destruction Derby. I think it might have been for the PlayStation 1. And it was unbelievable. It was... you just crash into cars. You do laps of a part of a ring, and you just keep crashing into cars over and over again.
I remember, there was a Happy Days episode in which Fonzie had only ever had one girlfriend. Her name was Pinky, and she was Pinky, and she was really cool, and she was in a demolition derby. And I thought, when I grow up, I want to be like Pinky and be in a demolition derby. Being all of 9 at the time.
You know your man. You know what I find crazy about the Happy Days series? Even though the Fonzie's a cool dude, there was the other guy as well, the kind of other main dude. He
Ron Howard.
Ron Howard.
Yeah.
He's like a huge director.
Massive director.
One of the best.
Absolutely. Did you see the Joe Rogan episode when he admitted that he thought about doing... Oh, no, Howard Stern. It was Howard Stern.
Howard Stern's a much better interview than Joe Rogan.
Yes. You see,
even though Howard Stern's a bit of a dick.
Well, you see, when Howard Stern first came out, I was a teenager, and I was like, and he was just shock jock, and he was so gross, and I'm like, oh, good God, is this really necessary? It's the end of civilization. But now I think, thank God for Howard Stern, because not only has he also mellowed a bit as he's got older, he's always like, thank God for free speech and saying truth to power. Like, if it wasn't for the shock jocks paving the way. I mean, the downside of that is it also means you get people like Alex Jones, but on the other hand, you get, thank God Howard Stern's still there.
Do you know one of the best interviews, if you ever want to listen to one, is Arnold Schwarzenegger on the Howard Stern show. Yes, Arnie is such a cute fucker, Howard Stern is one of the best interviewers ever.
He just lays it on it, and he's good at buttering people up, and
Louis Theroux is one of the best as well. But anyways, Howard Stern is interviewing Arnold Schwarzenegger, and he's like, "You must be meeting a lot of girls nowadays. You must have a lot of girls in your life." And Annie's like, ah ha ha ha, and he's smoking like a cigar. And he goes, but you're married now. Like, you're married. But how do you work at that? Like, you get girls talking to you all the time. Does your wife mind are you cheating? Basically, he was kind of asking him in a roundabout way, do you have much sex? Are you cheating? All this kind of stuff. So then Arnie was like, so he turned it back on Howard Stern. He's kind of like, well, I'm sure it's no more than your own job. You might get people coming on to you, do you? And he was kind of pushing Howard. And Howard was like, well, my wife doesn't love me anymore and all this blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
But Arnie kept kind of tapping away at him. And Howard Stern, he kind of put Howard Stern on the back foot there. And that's what you have to do with those kind of cunts.
But I think it was Mario and Howard Stern show, and Ron Howard was admitting that, after he transitioned out of, television and being, Richie Cunningham on Happy Days, he wanted to be a director, and of course his debut was, Splash. And so he thought briefly about doing porn, just to do a porn, just to do a celebrity porn, just to get the money together for Splash.
Ron Howard.
Yep, and I thought,
his bollocks is out there somewhere.
No, he didn't do it, but I thought, wow, no, just imagine if there was Richie Cunningham porn out there because he was so committed to doing his directorship. But he didn't have to, thankfully. But I think Ron Howard is people laugh because of Richard Cunningham, but one of his films, called Parenthood, is one of the best films you'll ever see because it's just so magnificently edited, and it's got this amazing cast, an ensemble cast, and it was made 1990, but it's got Joaquin Phoenix in it and Keanu Reeves, and it was you look at them when they were kids and that, and you think, my God,
Give
look
a
who they turn out
one-line
to be.
description of the movie.
It's a comedy family drama all about meaningful relationships and intergenerational complex family. At this point in the proceedings, wrapped with their banter about bog and all things Mayo, Owen and Mumma Duck adjourned to the local pub across the road, where they received succour from pints of Guinness and Smithwick's before returning once more to the front room to resume the second act of the podcast. Please do enjoy. I think, would we like to talk about the bogland in more detail? But you've brought along a bit of literary device regarding
the continuation
bogland.
of the beginning of the podcast, but we've had a pint in between. The question here is, what is peat? The scientific definition of peat is partially decaying organic matter, mainly of plant origin. In everyday language, peat, or turf as it's called in Ireland, is made up of the partly rotting remains of roots, stems, leaves, flowers, fruits, seeds, and even tiny pollen grains and spores. In theory, any plant community can form peat, given the right conditions. In practice, however, few do so, because most plants cannot grow and thrive under those conditions. The most important of which is that the soil and the peat that forms on it are saturated with water for much or all of the year. Suffice to say, you need a shit ton of rain to make the bog work. But not only that, you need years and years of decomposting material that will kind of get forced into the ground, and then with the damp on top of that, and then you cut it like a sausage. You put it up there then on the
stooks.
That's, yeah. Jesus, how'd you know that now?
Well, for an
Where'd you learn that word now?
For an Australian woman, I've spent some time in the bog.
We in my family alone, we call them stands. Mm-hmm. Father would be like, "Fucking put up them stands." All right, mate, chill. What are you gonna do? You're standing around and fuck all, is it? Is that what your portfolio is going to say on the CV when you get it?
I know that the bog runs deep in your veins. I remember that you wrote a poem about your love of the bog about 3 years ago. Put it on Instagram. It was just like,
did he?
Yeah, you did. It was all about working with the sun on your back and nothing but a pair of Levi's between you and your father.
Oh, jeez. I don't know if I wrote that, but if I did, thanks very much.
It was great, though.
Well, I have many memories from the bog, and two in particular was one time my father was. I'll never forget. He asked me, "What did I want to be when I grew up?" And I was like, "I want to be a professional footballer." Yep. I remember he was like, "All right, okay, well, do you reckon how will you get discovered?" And I was going through the motions, going, "How actually will I get discovered?" But obviously, I never did. But it was just I have a very clear memory of that conversation happening. And then the other one was, I forget what the other one, big profound moment was. I think it was my parents used to say to me, my mother and my father, they'd be down the bog together.
Yep.
Foot and turf together.
Yep.
Side by side, and they'd be like, then we had 5 siblings, including myself. So we'd be all kind of the below the level workers, and they'd be like, right, you go over there, you stand there. And it was a very much a good machine kind of factory kind of working style.
Yeah.
But I got tricked into believing that I was a really good worker, and they were like, "You should work very well. You're very quick."
Oh yeah, just make you go a bit quicker.
Yeah. So I was like, "Watch this," and I was like, I fucking used to bag everything. I would go so quickly and so fast, and I would just to the point where I'd be bagging wet turf. Which is never good either.
No.
You want to be bagging kind of semi-dry turf, and then you want to get it home, let it dry up then in the shed, stick it in, and then fry the edges of it. Let the air breeze through it. Then you bring it home. Put on the fire in the winter time when it's really nippy. You're sitting at the fire. You're having a hot port for yourself, and you're like, that's a good feeling.
Oh yes, it is, and I love it. As soon as the weather starts to turn in Mayo and just starts to get a bit crisper, you can start smelling people lighting the turf fires in the villages, and you just know that the season's on the edge and soon you're going to be around the fire with a glass in your hand and sharing stories and just feeling cozy.
Yeah. It's definitely about sharing stories. The winter. That's what it feels like in Mayo anyways, no?
Yes, I think so.
Having like 6 pints, sharing stories, and just seeing what shite comes out of your mouth, really.
Exactly. The closure was tough on everyone with the old socialisation in the pub, but we're back into it. Thank heavens. Thank heavens.
How are you feeling about everything open up again?
I'm gratified. I had 3 comedy gigs in a week.
Wow.
There you go. Last week I was at the 100 Night of Comedians in Dublin, right, at the Shin A Hysteria Comedy Club, and then on Tuesday I was in Galway at like the Old 55 of the Shomra Spree Comedy Club, and then on the Thursday I was in Mullingar at the Columbia Bar.
All right.
And I was like, there was a time 2 years ago when we thought nothing was ever going to open again and comedy was never going to come back. Everyone was saying comedy's going to die, and I'm like, that's not like the Spanish flu died out eventually, like humans will rise again.
No, but I mean, I guess I'm not sure if you're part of that those lives, but I was like, you know what, you're right. Live comedy's gone forever. I was telling everybody, I was like, no, it won't work because people are going to be scared. They're going to be wearing the masks. They're going to be coming into the place. It's going to be too much hassle of trying to get into the place and booking your name. And I was like, I was so sure of what I was saying. And nowadays, like, it's back to the same it was.
It is.
It's no different.
COVID's still out there. Because,
it's like a new bullshit out there,
It was one of those things. We just one of the things we have to learn to live with it. COVID is still out there, and it's still inconvenient. It can still make you feel ill, and I'm quite certain I haven't quite. I had it in January, and then I had it in June again, and it's a pain in the ass. You don't feel right. It does have an impact, but thank God we can mix with people all over again.
Yeah, definitely. Man, I'm not sure what connection that has to the bog, but
well, it was about socialising around the fire. Thank God we can do it again. But yes, but the bog.
So actually, that's very true. Yeah, because I suppose the fire. It's one of these places where it was. Apparently, the fire is one of the ways that conversation began.
Yes.
And they say that back in the caveman days, where the Neanderthals or whatever those fuckers were up to, what they would do is they would sit around a cave and then they would make a fire, and the fire was used for very different reasons. One of the reasons being to protect themselves from wild animals, like, I don't know, whatever animal might attack them, to cook their food, to make it the meat more, I suppose, easier to chew. But also, the third way was for protection, and to stop, I guess, sorry, I said the protection already. Then it was for eating meat. And the third one actually, was, so you'd be sitting around a cave, just chilling in the evening time. And then, you might have a few hours to kill because you might have a bit of food that's already, you've already eaten, you're just chilling.
Yeah.
So
you've done your hunting and gathering during the day. Now
you'd be kind of but what you would do is you would communicate the various different rules of what happened in your community that day.
Well, yeah.
Whether that be in fucking the earliest language known to man,
yes,
or even words going, whatever. I don't know what the fuck they're talking about.
Exactly. Don't go to the east. There's a dirty great big river
exactly.
filled with crocodiles.
Exactly. Exactly. Because they had their own, no more than you hear birds in the sky. They have their own way of communicating. So that was their way. So apparently the fire was the beginning of longer conversations between people, as opposed to just the odd word here or there going, where maybe you're in transit walking past a gang of fucking Homo sapien lads.
Yes, they say they recently discovered the knee bone of a bear butchered by humans down in the Burren about 12,000 years ago. So people have been doing that sort of thing on the island of Ireland for even longer than we thought. So we thought up at the Cajun Fields, the northwest of Mayo, they thought it was 7,500 years at least. Mm-hmm. But they're actually 5,000 years more because they found the knee bone of a bear that was butchered by humans down in the Burren. But have you heard that they've put bears back in Donegal along with the wolves? Donegal's getting wild by this.
No bears.
There is?
There is.
There's
I'm gonna
2
go up there
brown
tomorrow.
bears that have just been brought in to be reintroduced.
You
They're
reckon?
I've seen it. It's official. They're up there.
In IRL. Actually, sorry, no, not in IRL. IRL.
Yeah, in Donegal, they've got
Oh.
brown bears ready to go because they were originally
Ready to go.
native. But imagine if you're like you're
They're ready to go.
but imagine you go up to Donegal, like you
I
get
like the way like
up,
Russia and everybody else is getting really like fucking heated up with nuclear weapons.
and
we got 2 beers up in Donegal.
and wolves. There's wolves as well near Ballyshannon.
Yeah, but I want to see animals that are going to really fuck you up.
A brown bear will fuck you up.
No, I know it will. I know, but like I mean, if you're training like myself,
Yes,
who's going to win that fight? Like really?
that's a good point.
Let's be honest.
Do you reckon you could go up against a brown bear?
I reckon if I was in a slightly higher like level and I was like punching down,
Yeah.
going push push, and the bear wasn't that hungry, I reckon I could do him.
Do you want to hear my bear joke?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, we'll give it a bell. A bear walks into a pub and he says, "I have a pint of lager and a packet of bacon scratchings." And the barman says, "Why the huge pause?" Thank you for laughing, Mr. Colgan. Will that do for the evening?
I mean, yeah, sure, yeah.
Yep, you
Yeah.
reckon?
Yeah.
I reckon. You reckon so.
Chat to you soon.
See you when you got nothing on. Having waxed lyrical on the natural wonder of the county of Mayo, Mama Duck and Owen Colgan decided to hit the road in the next day and sit by a lock in the rain.
How you diddling?
Not so bad. How's yourself?
Yeah, too bad now. The weather is raining fairly heavily tonight.
Yes, we have ambience, as it were. There's no need to put an overlay track of,
Did you know that you can make a fortune on YouTube if you go out and record nature videos and then just put one of those classical instrumentals on top of it where it's they're not copyright anymore?
Yes, I do know the type you mean.
Apparently you can make a lot of money off those because you can monetize the videos. But it just, I don't know, it's not something... I don't know if I'd probably do it fucking wrong or the camera would fall into the water.
I have thought about it. I've got a GoPro which I have no idea how to use properly. And I thought about just setting it up in my garden and recording like birds in the back. I have a couple of short ones.
Short birds? Like the rabbit
couple of short videos on my YouTube channel, which is sort of like magpies in my garden with no...
Look at you there now, plugging your channel, huh?
Well,
Oh, yeah.
This podcast will hopefully end up on the channel. So it's, what is it, self-referencing.
Yeah. You got to do that
And
now, I guess.
cross-promotion. Anything you want to plug, Mr. Colgan? Any gigs coming up?
They're opening up a new restaurant in town.
Are they?
No. I was trying to think of something funny there.
Is it called The Envelope?
Yeah, Callum Best's going to cut the ribbon.
Nice.
Or going to open up the envelope, I should say. Anyways, what was I going to say to you? Yeah, it's getting dark now in the evenings.
It is. The nights are drawing in, as it were.
Yeah.
So it's like, it's a bit of deja vu, actually. A couple of years ago when we recorded throughout the seasons, throughout 2020, the pandemic, and we were out on the peninsula, and it was like,
That's right, yeah.
I started off in springtime, and it was like snow and dark by the time we sort of finished. And now I can't believe it's October. Like, this year has just gone so quickly.
Do you find that the years are going faster?
I do. They say it's proportional because...
Yeah, when you're like a 5-year-old, you've only experienced 4 summers or whatever.
Exactly. So
your idea, your ratio of life to whatever summer is like a lot different than somebody that's 60.
Exactly. Whereas it just seems to me, I'm just, oh my God, Christmas shopping again.
Yeah. Well, you don't have to do it if you don't want to do it.
We don't have to. But my kiddo is terribly, terribly excited. She's got her Halloween outfit. So she's glad it's all here on time. Last year, the Halloween outfit arrived like the day after the dress up at school. So she had to make do on the day with improvised crap from her own wardrobe and a bit of face paint.
Sometimes that's the best stuff, though.
Well,
it's the most creative.
Well, it was. I mean, it was creative, but it was just disappointing that she had she knew exactly in her mind what she wanted to be, and then they had the dress-up day the day before the package bloody arrived. But this time, she's ahead of the curve. Yep.
One Halloween, I was in Galway, and we went out. I was dressed as the fella from Scream, the fella with the mask.
Yeah.
But it was so hot inside the mask that I took it off. So actually, I was just wearing like a black cloak.
Yes.
And people were like, "Are you dressed as a priest?" And I'm like, "No, I'm the guy from Scream, but I just don't want to put on the mask because I want to smoke a cigarette or something."
Well, when I have to dress up, I generally go as Velma from Scooby-Doo.
Okay.
Because I have Great Danes, right? But did you hear Velma has definitely officially come out this week?
Come out of where?
Velma is officially a lesbian.
All right.
Yeah, there you go. So, I mean, it was always suspected, and Velma does exchange some significant glances with some chicks in the Scooby-Doo films.
Are you on about like she's lesbian in the film or in real life?
No, in the character likes the people who make it, like Hanna-Barbera, the company sort of thing, or whatever license they're under at the moment. They've come out and said that Velma is officially LGBTQ. Whereas it was always just surmised. It was always like there's lots of fan fiction and fan art about Velma being a lesbian, but now it's like, they're just...
Why, is it showing their dating life on the show, or why are they so obsessed with it?
They're not obsessed with it, it's just about representation. It's like, why have her in the closet? Like, why should everything be coded? It's like lavender cowboys and like the what they used to refer to as the celluloid closet in Hollywood, where everything was sort of like you weren't allowed to say that someone was gay or lesbian, you just had to imply it. But it's like, well, if you weren't allowed to be sort of out and proud, and now it's more representational. So now Velma is officially out. So there you go.
So you a big fan of Scooby-Doo?
I'm a big fan of Great Danes. I actually like Scooby-Doo.
Hmm?
I love Scooby-Doo. You don't think you're a bit of a, shaggy yourself?
Oh, no, I like Scooby-Doo. Just, you had an impassioned plea there, and I was wondering, I'm thinking you must really like Scooby-Doo.
I'm just commenting on today's society when it's okay and in fact embraced for Velma to be official rather than just, it implied. So yeah.
So have you been to the cinema to see the latest Scooby-Doo?
I have not seen the latest Scooby-Doo.
Do you watch the cartoons?
I sometimes watch cartoons. I like the 90s film. Do you like?
When did you watch Scooby-Doo last?
When did I watch Scooby-Doo last? Probably a couple of months ago. I watched the 90s film with my kiddo.
I just realised how absurd that question is.
Well, that's okay. No.
When did you last watch Scooby-Doo?
Oh, no, it's okay. No, well, we were talking about Scooby-Doo. So a couple of months ago with the kiddo, I watched Scooby-Doo. She thinks he's funny, and I like the stoner humour, of course, which sort of goes over the head of most of the kids. One hopes.
If Scooby-Doo was to ever get in trouble for not representing or whatever like that, they should put up the title on newspaper, Scooby Don't.
Boom, boom. I suppose when you think about it, it's a bit white. Scooby-Doo is a bit white when you talk about representation. I mean, like...
Well, what about the Cosbys?
Well, the Cosbys was significantly later than Scooby-Doo.
Hmm?
The Cosbys was much later than the Scooby-Doo. But, the whitest film I've ever... Like, it is what you think... when you watch it the first time, you don't sort of notice, and then you watch it, like, a bit later on. Twister. Now, Twister, the film about, cyclones chasing hurricanes, tornadoes. Have you seen it?
Oh, I think... Oh, right, yeah. They're kind of like... they're in Alabama or somewhere, no?
Sort of Kansas, I think. They're out in the,
there's a massive storm, no?
And a massive storm. Is like Helen Hunt and Bill Paxton are playing like tornado chasers, and they're meteorologists, and they're trying to like map a tornado, right?
Yeah.
Right. So there's all these like very 90s effects of CGI tornadoes and things. I mean, it's well acted because they're all good actors and things. But we watched it a few months back, like rewatched it a few months back because it was one of those like 90s nostalgia things.
Yeah.
And you watch it and you think, wow, this film is white. Like, there's like just it's just a load of like very good-looking white people. But it's just like, I mean, it was already a shallow sort of guilty pleasure, like I said, but it's just like, wow, this is it's just like now that Hollywood is more inclusive and has, you know, more representation and stuff, like the stuff that was pre that is like, it really hits you in the face. Do you know what I mean? It's like, wow.
I don't think there's enough representation of Irish people in Nollywood.
You don't think there's enough representation of Irish people in Hollywood?
In Nollywood.
Nollywood?
Yeah.
What's Nollywood?
You don't know what that is?
No, tell me what Nollywood is.
Oh my God, that's I don't know, that's not a good... I mean, Nollywood is, for me, the best movie production industry in the world.
What the hell is Nollywood, Colgan?
Nollywood is the Nigerian version of Hollywood. Just like the Bollywood is the Indian version of Hollywood, but they're
Bollywood
better.
I'm familiar with, but
No, they're better.
Nollywood's new. Nollywood's new to me, so I apologise for not being up on the old Nollywood.
Well,
I'm
I'm a bit annoyed that the Nollywood, they don't represent the Irish in it. That's just what I'm saying. I've never seen an Irish person on a Nollywood movie. I'm actually putting this out there now, if anyone's listening to
I was
this.
about to say,
I'd like to be in one. I love them. I really like them.
Well, someone emailed the podcast, findingirelandfunny@gmail.com, if you've got roles for like either Colgan or myself in a Nollywood film. Would love to.
No, you can't be in it because you didn't know about Nollywood.
Oh, but that's
It's
the
just
thing.
me.
That's all about education. Right?
Yeah, but you need to watch from the sides first.
Oh, okay. I can just, I can be like, third gaffer or something. I'll just, hold the duct tape behind the cameras or something. I'll just, I'll start at the beginning.
There was an Irish movie in Bollywood. So, happy enough about that. They were on Moore Street, I think. They did like a mixture of an Irish movie mixed in with an Indian movie. I forget what it was called, but they do a bit of filming there on Moore Street in Dublin, and it's indie movies are crazy. They just go to town. They just like everyone starts dancing halfway through it.
They're very colourful.
Yeah, they are.
Great.
If you're looking for something to watch tonight on YouTube, type in "bad guys in Indian movies," and it's just dudes getting thrown across like 17 cars. It's like Jason Statham if he had wings.
A very intense emoting from the eyes in Bollywood, don't they? It's like the 1920s sort of Hollywood. Just like it's all about the eyes.
I never knew that. Now I didn't realize 1920 Hollywood was all about the eyes.
Well, yeah, that's why everyone had like such big eyes because you couldn't. There was no.
Chicken people were getting eye implants.
No.
They're getting their eyes stretched.
Eyes stretched. But tell you what, they did a study in the 1920s that found out that when women blink slower, the men's hearts beat faster. So if someone gives you the slow blink, like you're in trouble, mate. They're after you.
Have you seen the Marilyn Monroe movie?
I have not. I don't know if I'll bother, to be honest, because I'm a bit of a Norma Jean buff, and she had such a sad life.
Yeah.
That I don't know if I want to wallow in that. Quite frankly, like I already like I've read lots of biographies of her, and I love her. And
there's a Cuban girl that plays her. Like she's a great actress, but at the same time, I don't know, does she do the role justice? I think she is good. She's probably the best thing in it.
Okay.
Some of it's a bit cheesy, but it is fairly good. I don't know anything about really Marilyn Monroe, but like it sounds like she had a very rough time.
She did.
It sounds like there was a lot of creeps knocking around Hollywood then. I'm sure there was loads of them.
So many of them.
Yeah, I'm sure that they were the precedent for Harvey Weinstein.
Yes, well, Joan Collins. Do you remember Joan Collins from Dynasty back in the 80s? She said that it was Marilyn Monroe who warned her about the wolves of Hollywood when she came in the late 50s to Hollywood.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes, Marilyn.
There's a few dodgeballs in there, right?
Loads of dodgeballs, and she was just, and people wrote, like, there was a short book written by a man that worked on The Prince and the Showgirl, the film that was made in London with Laurence Olivier and Marilyn Monroe, and it was very scathing about her being unprofessional and not turning up and stuff. But the poor girl was like suffering extreme like substance abuse by that point because everyone had got her like hooked on like barbiturates and stuff. So I mean, nowadays, like it would be a bit more understanding. Do you know what I mean? If it was like if someone suffers substance abuse,
They're just as
not
bad. Like look what happened with Whitney Houston. I know, like she maybe I don't know the whole situation there, but like, how come nobody was around to tell her that? Jesus,
Well,
you need to kind of like maybe put on. I know it's easy to say, like, but at the same time, Whitney Houston was one of the best singers ever.
She was.
And like loved by everybody in the world. Like everyone's kind of like a lot of people would say she's the best singer, one of the best singers ever.
I'd say so.
But nobody looked after her. Like, what was that all about?
Well.
But then again, that's music, I suppose. Maybe that's different, no?
Well, I watched a very interesting documentary about Whitney in which it was theorised, but it seems quite evident from everything that's documented that she was actually gay herself and had like a long intimate relationship with another woman, but because she was never allowed to be like that because like she was very tied up with like the church sort of movement and stuff, sort of led to her being unhappy and marrying unwisely and a sad end. So there you go, back to Velma. Be out and proud. Be who you want to be. And in fact, Whitney Houston's, one of her favourite sayings apparently used to be, "Can I just be me?
Can I just be me?"
Can I be me?
That's cool, I like
Can I
that.
be me? Can I be me?
Yeah,
Yep.
nothing wrong with that statement either.
Exactly.
It's all about being yourself.
Mm-hmm. So yes.
It's getting very grey.
Do you see Joe Biden pardoned everyone with like federal non-violent marijuana possession or convictions?
I didn't even realise that lad would still be able to fucking talk shit.
Well, they wheel him out to announce policies every now and then.
I like he's in great shape for a fella that's 76, but he's not in great shape for a fella that has to run a fucking country.
Yeah, well, he's at least the people around him are sane and experienced, you know. But let's see if it.
Yeah, well, we don't know enough about that either. In fairness, but anyways, sure, look at. There was a lovely moon there last night. The whole sky was kind of all cleared up.
Yes, and a couple of nights ago it was the moon and Jupiter together. You could see,
No way,
you
just
could
hanging
see
out.
them both at the same time. Yep.
I'd like to figure out more about what goes on, like in space and like with the planets and stuff like that. I remember reading there's four solid planets close to us and there's 4 gassy planets close to us. Is that it in the Milky Way?
I don't know. I've never really like. I could name them. They've like. It's like I'm not up with the latest spiel. Is Pluto still a planet? Or have they demoted it again?
Let's just say it is for the moment. I don't know.
There used to be that thing at school, like the.
Pluto,
Yeah.
Saturn,
Mm.
Lithuania. Pluto and
I was
Saturn.
like,
Pluto, Saturn, Venus, Uranus. That's 4. There's 4 more.
Jupiter.
Jupiter,
Mm. How do you say Neptune already?
Neptune, Netflix. And
Just chilling
there's another
Neptune.
one they're just knocking around the back there.
All right, let me think about it. You see, I have to admit, I've not been, although I appreciate the stars, I do, and I appreciate the pull of the moon. I'm quite a moon girl. I just really like Earth and our atmosphere that has oxygen in it, and I have absolutely no desire to go anywhere above it, no matter what Mr. Musk might have planned for us all. I'd rather.
But do you not think that you come from up there, no? So let me go through them. Neptune, Uranus, Saturn, Jupiter, Mars, Earth. We've got Earth and Mars.
Right.
Venus, Mercury.
Mm-hmm.
Then you get the sun is like,
Is a star.
yeah. But
Well, did you know though that the moon seems to be hollow, and when you like bang on it, it makes a bong sound,
Oh.
although it is literally like a Death Star, and we might actually be all up there like monitoring what we're doing down here in these bloody 99.99% chimpanzee DNA with whatever it is that makes us human.
you'd never fucking know. Like at the end of the day, most people will never go to the moon. Not in this lifetime, anyway.
I have no desire.
I'd love to go to the moon.
Would you really?
Oh yeah, go just for like a bank holiday weekend. Go up there with a 2-day rucksack and whatever the hell that is, and just I wouldn't want to go too long, but I'd like to go for maybe a week, just enough to kind of be like, wow. I think it'd give you a different perspective on the planet, and you might see it differently too. But then again, you might also get freaked out, and you might be like, imagine you got there and they're like, oh, you know what? Sorry, lads, we actually can't get back.
Yes.
What? Yeah, we forgot to bring enough fuel for the way back. We're just human error. Okay,
Yep.
well, let's stay here then forever.
Yes, and start growing potatoes out of our own poo, like.
But there's enough
Matt Damon.
lunatics. Yeah, there's enough lunatics in the world that'll be like, oh yeah, I'll go there, and I don't want to come back either. And they'll stay there and they'll live in pods. I bet you they're going to be, maybe not in Mars, but well, actually, probably would be Mars, no?
Well, it's life on Mars, where they found like beginnings of life and microbes, and once when I was a little girl, they thought that Mars was completely uninhabitable and couldn't sustain life, and now they're at it, aren't they? Now they're planning bloody colonies instead of just maybe healing the planet we're already on.
Yeah. It just seems like maybe there's a few things that are irreversible in this planet now, with all the people and all the concrete and all the plastic.
I think when I was younger, I had a 16-year-old son who was told if he didn't clean his room, there'd be dire consequences. So instead of cleaning his room, he rang his grandmother and asked her if he could go and live with her. And she didn't do the right thing and immediately said, of course you can come live with me any time, rather than saying, like, respect your mother and clean your goddamn room. So he moved out briefly, and then found out that life wasn't a bowl of cherries anywhere else either.
Yeah.
We see that's pretty much what Elon Musk and that sort of have done to the planet. Now that we've
Elon Musk done?
Well, exploited it for all it's worth. Have it well within your power to like clean it up and make it beautiful for everyone, but instead he just wants to go and like branch out by himself and like go, don't want that one anymore. I'm going to go and build myself a big penis-shaped rocket and like get.
You
to
mean
the
Jeff
moon.
Bezos?
They're both at it. They're literally like the two richest men in the world are literally competing with each other with
Yeah, but
penis rockets.
people would look at our lives and say the same thing about us and how we're wasting time with their with fuel machines, driving around and buying plastic bottles of water and putting the television on, not turning off when you leave the house, and just throwing plastic into bins and not really caring.
But our income is not larger than Africa's economy, like African countries' economy, the way that Bezos and Musk are. Do you know what I mean? Like they have such power to do such good, and what's he doing? He's going to buy Twitter for $44 billion just so he can put like more, so he can make more profit off removing all regulations.
But surely it's people like yourself who are on Twitter that are giving him the money, no?
Well, that's a fair point. However, to be fair, I don't spend much time on Twitter now. I have about 280 followers. And
It's not bad.
I rarely engage. I used to be on it all the time.
I find it's very like I got thrown off twice.
Did you?
Yeah. First time I'd been building up the page for years, and then it threw me off. I was like, oh fuck, so annoying. And then I realised I actually was at more at peace. But I had a friend who kept saying to me, oh, you got to get back on Twitter, man, it's great. Got to get back on it. And I was like, I don't think I can because my email, they won't allow me. So I tried a few different emails. They didn't work at the time.
Yeah.
It was something to do with the laptop. I don't know how they knew. They kept going, this seems to be coming from the account of Owen Colgan, blah, blah.
Yeah, same IP address,
Yeah,
that sort
exactly.
of thing.
So then when I got another laptop, for some reason, it started working again. This is years later. Mm-hmm. It's only like last year, after being off it for like maybe 3 years. But I was able to get on again, so I opened up a new account. And then, I don't know what I was talking about. I was just joking around with, I think, somebody like Mark Wahlberg.
Yeah.
But like, obviously, it was just me writing to him.
Yeah.
And I probably said something like,
commenting on his post, yeah.
yeah, you're a tough guy, yeah. Like, let's have a fight soon. Just something silly like that.
Yeah.
And then
calling out Matt Wahlberg like you do.
And then I was just like, your page has been now suspended. We will review it and see if we're going to give it to you. Never got back to me, so I just said, fuck it, you know what? It's a sign from the big man upstairs going, stay away from it altogether.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. Is it my account that only has 280 or something? I've had it for about 3 years, but I just really don't bother with it. Yeah. I had like an account that had 3,000 followers, and I had some really groovy followers, and I followed lots of people because I mainly started it. I was in Australia when I started it, and I was really into like politics and issues, and I spent a lot of time on Twitter. And then 3 years ago it got hacked, or so I just got a message saying like it's being taken down because of violations, but I hadn't done anything, and I just couldn't recover my account. I couldn't, despite the emails and the phone call, like just there's nothing good about it. So I opened another one, but I just I couldn't get everyone back because by then I was in a different time zone, and Twitter, because of the algorithms and because of location stuff, and even though I have like a VPN, it just keeps making assumptions about who you want to follow, and none of them were people I actually want to follow.
Okay.
It'd just be like,
local,
like Dublin politics, or
I don't really like the algorithms, the way they kind of they start advertising or start pushing things towards what they think you might like. I like a small bit of it, but it gets to a point where sometimes I open up a YouTube and I'm like, I don't want to be looking at this shit anymore.
Exactly. Like I don't like or dislike anything on YouTube Music, and I don't have autoplay on ever.
That's a smart touch.
I never let this.
I have it on, yeah. I have it on.
Because it's just like they just want to spoon feed you. But it's like, I mean, and I'm on, like I said, we're on YouTube, so like if I use it, but also like it's obvious when it's like when ad revenue is like, that when they throttle you back and when they let you have a bit more access and stuff, it's obviously so gamed. Do you know what I mean?
Well, how are they doing that? Through software?
Well, I guess through algorithms or something. It's like, and you get all the statistics on like how people find your channel and stuff. And
that's what all the software is that they're developing all the time. It's to figure out what gets the most views, so that we can ask advertisers for actually more money.
Exactly.
So that they will give us more money, so that we get paid more, so then we can hire more staff to make the algorithms even more acute, to the point where like if you post something, they'll know almost beforehand how many people are going to watch it.
Exactly.
And like how long they're going to watch it.
When I go live on YouTube now, there's already like people waiting, and already liking it before I like.
That's cool. Like waiting at the door, the virtual door of truth.
Well, I guess, but on the other hand, all of my followers are now like 93% male.
How do you feel about that?
Well, I don't know, it's a double-edged sword. I'm grateful for my followers. I have like more than I could have dreamt.
Why don't you do like a prayer like that you'd see like in a church in America and go, I'm thankful for my followers, for everybody that followed me home.
Well, really,
keep calling it home.
I was just like, maybe I'll start my own little like. Can you see me as like a little guru? Can you see people moving in with me and maybe worshipping me, giving me foot rubs? Do you think I could turn this into like a little domestic goddess sort of situation?
I could see that happening, yeah, definitely. I think you'd...
I should get more local fans at that point.
Would you like that? Would you like people to come over like that?
Let me think about that. I don't know. It could be... there's already a few like sort of like frightening things when people go a bit overboard with the comments. You think, well, do they like, how far away do they live? Are they likely to pop up and...
Oh yeah, fuck them. No, fuck those guys.
But yeah, but most of them are like absolutely lovely. And
yeah, of course.
But it's like, but most of my videos, again, all the statistics I'll tell you, most of my videos, the average view is a minute. That's not long. Some of my videos are much longer than a minute. But then someone commented the other day, whether they're short or long, I like all of your videos. And I thought, well, there you go, power of one. At least there's one out there who watches all of it.
Exactly. So, no, but yeah, you did right. Like, I mean, as long as one or two people are enjoying the videos, that's the main thing.
Is that a gotcha question? My favourite pint, I have to say, normally, like the good old standard, I'll have like a half of Smithwick's to begin my evening or my mid-afternoon sort of thing. But I went to Carrick-on-Shannon on Sunday and I found this gorgeous pub, and in it, and they were their own brewery, and they were like the Rye Company or something, and their beer was like 7.5%. It was called the Big Banger or something like that, and it was gorgeous. It tasted of honey and lemon, and it was very nice indeed.
What was the name of it? The Big Banger.
Big Banger, I think.
That sounds like a nice beer.
Yeah.
There's a lot of good craft beers out there now at the moment.
Yeah.
There's so many good ones.
And I like...
So what is your favourite Smithwick's, glass of Smithwick's?
Yeah, a glass of Smithwick's. That's where I sort of like start generally. I was in the habit of like sort of like sipping on whiskey, but it doesn't seem to be agreeing with my tummy lately. So
I love it. I love a whiskey. I love a whiskey with depends really, like, but a whiskey and a Guinness, it's hard to beat it. Even though Beamish is nice now as well. I'm not just saying that to be controversial. Beamish is very nice.
Oh, you know what? Murphy's. I had Murphy's down in
Murphy's
Cork
nice,
because
yeah.
I said it was like,
No,
it
it's
was like
good.
the local one, and it was really nice. It was really nice.
Yeah. If you drink enough of those, you'd be like, you know what? Actually, I like this.
Yeah.
Guinness has the name. Did you know that there's a bridge in Vancouver that was funded by the Guinness family?
Was there?
Yeah.
As a philanthropic thing.
Philanthropic, yeah, but it was also probably like a donation to get rid of tax money or something.
Oh, possibly.
But I'm only being negative.
But they did a lot of good in the world, the Guinness. I mean, like all the corporation housing in inner city Dublin.
Oh, maybe, yeah.
The Ivy Trust.
I don't
and
know
stuff,
much about it.
All the Ivy buildings in inner city Dublin, they were like Victorian, they're red brick. They used to even have like public baths and stuff in them for the poor to replace tenements and to give them like decent standard of housing. The Ivy Trust, and they're called the Ivy buildings. That was all the Guinness family. That's why they called him. He was Lord Ivy, which is why it's the Ivy Trust.
I hate that Lord shit and I hate that Sir shit.
Well, yes, it is. It is ridiculous to have a class system.
Yeah. Here it is.
So yes, I am an egalitarian and a Republican. So down with the monarchy, say I. Down with the monarchy and the class system. There's been some beaut memes going around about the English lately. You know that Leonardo DiCaprio meme that's always like from The Great Gatsby of him like
looking kind of smug,
looking very smug while toasting with the champagne or the martini glass. It's like one today I saw him of like Ireland watching Britain or something, and it was just like, and he had like the beard and like a green shamrock badge and was drinking Guinness.
The English are cute enough though.
Oh, they are, but my goodness. I was in London a couple of times over the summer, and it's an interesting place, but it was very different to when I was there the last time because of like
a lot of cool stuff there.
So much heritage and stuff, but I like the demographics have changed so much because like so many people from Europe left because of COVID or Brexit that it was like I was staying in a hotel and there was basically no European staff, and whereas normally it would be like in Ireland because we came from the public.
There was no European. What? I don't know what you mean.
Well, I mean, like we'd just come from like Galway and Dublin and stuff, and like, a lot of the hotel staff were like from France and that sort of thing because they're all Spanish students and things, particularly in the kitchens. There were
right.
lots of like lovely Spanish student things. Went to London. No one in the hotel was European because of like Brexit and COVID.
How do you know they weren't though?
Because they were all of they were generally all of like Asian descent, and most of them didn't have English as a first language. I'm not saying that was a bad thing. I'm just saying it was.
But how did they work there?
Changed.
But how did you communicate with them when you went in?
It was extraordinarily difficult. Extraordinarily difficult communicating with any of them, and I think there was one French guy, and he looked straight at him. I said, he said, you're from Ireland. I said, yes, I was in Galway. Yes, just yesterday. I kind of wish I was back there. And he said, oh God, I want to come back to Galway. I should never have like come here because he'd had such a good time working in Galway. And I'm like, well, Brittany, Galway, the same people, and he was just like, oh God, this is so horrible. There was like, everyone had left and there was just like no one. The hotel, the manager, she actually wept. She wept. Was like, I went to her because I was like in charge of like a tour, so I went to her with some of my concerns, shall we say, and she cried because she said she can't get any staff to stay longer than like 2 weeks. As soon as they get trained, they leave because there's no trained Europeans anymore that would normally be in hospitality. They bypass London. Because it's like you can't afford to live there, and they're no longer employing people in the EU. It's so the demographics have just changed, and yet, in spite of all that, life goes on. It's just like get on the tour bus and go out to Stonehenge, who has been there for thousands of years and doesn't give a shite about who's there. Do you know what I mean? It's just a really weird juxtaposition. Pardon?
Soho is good fun.
Soho is good fun. Yeah.
I only walked through it one time. I was never actually out in it, but it looks very expensive. But there's a nice place. I think it's called the Curry Mile. It's the nicest food you could ever get. I got a curry in there. It was fucking delicious.
Well,
One thing is expensive.
the most popular dish in England now.
Vindaloo, no?
Close. It's chicken tikka masala.
Oh.
That is the most popular dish in England
And
now.
on that note, I think I'm going to head off and get one myself.
Well, I don't blame you at all. It's that time of evening.
I haven't had any dinner yet.
Oh,
I
no.
actually lost my Fitbit today as well. So.
Oh, no. That's doubly distressing. All right. I'll see you when you got nothing on.
God bless.